accompanied by one of the most flyest, fashion-forward, the coolest GMs in hospitality. Guntram Merl, how are you today, sir?
Very well, thank you for saying that. That's very nice of you.
You're the best. And I always tell you, when I see you, your attire is always inspiration.
Thank you.
Welcome to Members Only Television Series International. It's a pleasure to have you here. I know you're a busy man, so thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
For our audience, we would love to know, who is Guntram Merl?
So I'm obviously a hotelier by trade, profession, however you wanna put it. I'm originally from Austria, and I grew up in the hospitality industry, and been now for about 20 years in the U.S. But obviously the industry, or what I do, is a passion of mine, and I'm very fortunate it brought me here to this hotel.
How do you define luxury?
Yeah, that's an interesting question from you. You know, luxury is actually, it's luxury. Let me put it this way: luxury over the years has changed. I think originally the perception of luxury had a lot to do with formality, right? Luxury always will have a base that needs to be what I would consider the product. So you will have to have a very elevated product, whatever that may be, a hotel, a luxury car, whatever that may be, right? But I think the definition of luxury now has a lot more to do with time and personalization. So for me, luxury, the product itself, is ultimately to be in the game, so to say. You have to have the product. But after that, it's all about experience. So I would tell you, the way I usually put it is experience over product every single time.
Experience over product.
Yeah.
Let's go more into your beginnings, right?
My personal history really is all around the world, right? I spent 3.5 years in Switzerland. I went to school in London. I lived 8 years in Australia and in Asia. And then in the US, quite some time down in South Florida. I also had the pleasure of spending some time in the Caribbean and on Grand Cayman. And I've always spent time in luxury hotel, mainly resorts.
So out of all of the opulent properties you worked at, right, and rendered your amazing service to, which one is your favorite?
Well, of course, the Regis Atlanta. But I will say that I spent 4 years in the Caribbean, and I worked for Ritz-Carlton out there, and the Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman still is a very, very special place. It's paradise.
What are some of the key challenges you face as being a GM for the St. Regis Atlanta?
Yeah, so I think going back to your earlier question, when you talk about luxury, right? There's a few things that are really, one of the things I would say is stay relevant, right? It's a big challenge to stay up with current trends, to make sure that the customer that we serve really gets the experience that they are looking for these days. A little bit of the challenge, Sorrel, is actually, it is around the perception of what luxury is. And there is actually a thing that I like to point out. There is a lot of confusion between luxury and premium. So there's a lot of people that think premium is luxury, but there's a big difference between that. So
what's the difference?
Well, by the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, the piece with luxury is the product. The product of it you have to have, right? So there's a lot of businesses out there, not only hotels, that provide a very nice product, right? But they do not back it up with the experience or the service that comes behind it, right? My explanation is always, would you buy yourself a very expensive Mercedes, right? And if the service that you need to get for the car doesn't match up, you're not going to get a Mercedes again. It's as simple as that.
What measures are implemented to ensure that the culture of excellence is embedded into the St. Regis Atlanta?
So there is obviously businesses or organizations out there that do rate you, right? In the food industry, I think most prominent is Michelin star, which our restaurant has a Michelin star. In the hotel world, is really Forbes. Their tagline is we verify luxury. So we use this as a benchmark for our own hotel and then compare ourselves to other hotels.
What does it mean to acquire a 5-star for Forbes?
Yeah.
And what does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's a lot of different things. Ultimately, what it comes down to, that you know that you have an organization that backs up our customer service at the highest and most precise level. I think that's really what it means. It's that we can deliver to a standard that is really worldwide recognized as luxury.
Is it safe to say that the St. Regis Atlanta is one of the most impactful landmarks in Atlanta/Buckhead?
Yeah, listen, it's been here now. We are in our 16th year, right? We have always been the market leader in that in the luxury environment here. If you say landmark from a building perspective, obviously in luxury it has an impact here as well. But we definitely been the market leader, and I would say a beacon of southern hospitality here in Atlanta for sure.
I would love for you to talk to the audience about what is it like in a day of Guntram Merl. When you get up, coming into the St. Regis operations, how does a day look?
So it's an interesting question that you ask me in that aspect, because I think the perception is that as a general manager of a hotel, that every day is like crazy and you deal with all these different things. I would tell you it's actually a lot of routine, right? And what routine does, routine goes and provides consistency in the execution that we have as a hotel. So my day is usually a combination of some guest interaction, a lot of interaction with leadership, and then with associates. And then it's really a day where I spend a lot of time walking around, seeing what the physical asset is like, assuring that we really are operating to that standard. So my day, for the most part, is pretty routine, right? It is a lot of information that comes that you process, and then really the guest interactions. But it's not as crazy or as varied as people think.
So, do you sleep well at night?
I sleep very well, right? And I sleep very well because I have a phenomenal team that works here.
Team is amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
The St. Regis brand has such a rich history. How do you maintain this legacy while also staying modern and innovative?
Yeah, that's a perfect question, actually, because our founder, John Jacob Astor, right, when he built first St. Regis in New York, it was one of the most innovative hotels that was built at the time. And I think our brand strongly thrives to stay relevant, which is a huge piece for us to assure that we stay competitive in the market, right? Legacy for us really comes around our butler service. And what butler service ultimately means is really the personalization of what a customer expects. It's the unexpressed wishes of a guest that our team is aiming to pick up, right? And as we discussed a little bit before, right, that is really the difference between having a nice property and having a luxury environment. That personalization. And the brand is obviously very known for that and very strong in that.
The St. Regis is known for its exceptional service. Can you share what goes into creating the level of luxury experience for guests?
It comes down to what do we know, how do we personalize a stay, right? What do we know about a customer? We have a lot of return customer that we understand what their preferences are, so acting on those preferences. I'll give you a very simple example. When a customer stays with us for several nights, a hotel like ours does turn down, right? So we turn down the room, we turn the lights down in the evening, we put music on. We go as far as actually noting what side of the bed a customer gets out of. So the next day, when you repeat that turn down and you make up the bed, you make up the right side of the bed. The correct side, maybe is the better word to use.
You taught me something new today, sir.
Yeah.
And that process called turning?
A turn down, a room turn down, right? So we take a guest room from a day setting into an evening setting, right? You get the little chocolates on a pillow, right? That's the evening turn down ritual that we do. But we make sure that we turn down the bed where we, take some of the bedding and fold it over. to do it on the correct side so the customer doesn't have to do it on their own. That's anticipation of needs for the next day.
Anticipatory service,
Yeah.
huh?
That's a simple example.
Yes, sir. How do you inspire and lead your team to uphold the brand's high standards?
Well, two things. I think you got to walk the walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you that with very few exceptions, I have done every job in a hotel myself, so I don't have a problem asking anybody to do something that I would do myself, and I think that really makes a difference in the team. And then really, driving the brand experience not only for the guests, but I think it's super important that you drive that experience also for our associates, or in our particular case, we call them hosts.
Yes, sir. I do have one or two more questions.
Please,
right?
yeah.
When did you realize in life that the food and beverage and hospitality was your calling?
So, that's a question that's kind of the way I would answer this. I grew up in a very traditional hospitality environment in Europe, and I have to tell you, it wasn't my favorite, because basically what you get told what to do. This is what you do, and this is the correct way. I did move to Australia, right? In Australia, I think the approach to what food and beverage specifically looks like was very, very different. You have cultures from all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Melbourne for a while, and I remember Vietnamese food in Melbourne, unbelievable, right? And I think I had a grounding in Europe that prepared me for it, but the passion for it really started for me in Australia. And at one point, if I sit here and I would tell you that 20 years ago, somebody would have said to me, "You'd be a general manager for a hotel," I would have said, "You're crazy. I'm not going to do this to myself," right? But here you are. Eventually, this industry, draws you in. The opportunity that it provides, right? I love the travel piece of it. I love the guest interaction of it. The people that you meet in all walks of life. So it's a unique thing, but my passion again goes most probably to my time in Australia.
So with that being said, it's really safe to say that you really love what you do.
Listen, I think this is one of these industries that if you don't like it, is a very, very difficult job to do. It is demanding, it is time consuming. We all know this industry demands weekends, holidays. So if you don't like what you do, you're not going to be successful. And I think even more so important, I think the main thing that this industry collides with my personal interests, right? So it's a lot easier to do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Can we have a toast?
Of course. Love a toast.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And our amazing mixologist, Mr. Ash, is here.
Great to see you again.
One of the greatest guys in the service industry and hospitality. You're so 5-star, sir.
And he looks the part, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So our signature cocktail for the members only television series, Mr. Guntram, is a French 75 minus the gin. Today we're going to use tequila camasario, reposado with Moet Chandon Imperial.
Very nice.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Thank you, good sir.
Well, thank you, Ash.
My pleasure.
Beautiful.
All right, my good sir. This is the part of the show where we give you your flowers, right? Cheers to you, Guntram Merl, for the level of leadership that you render, the culture that is embedded in you, the passion for hospitality, your fashion flyness, you being you. I don't think the St. Regis Atlanta would be where it is without you. The best is yet to come. You are an amazing leader. I've been around a lot of leaders, but you have an amazing spirit and you get it. Cheers to you, Mr. Guntram. The best is yet to come. Thank you for everything. Welcome to Members Only. Cheers, my good sir.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.